correctly?
That was in regard to a Department of Homeland Security post about advocating 100 million deportations. That is what DHS has tweeted from their own account. 100 million deportations would be ethnic cleansing. You would be removing 1/3 of the country. So yes, there are people within the Department of Homeland Security.
And you don't think this is hyperbolic? Give me 30 more seconds.
I think
that right there. That's the moment David Bier realized he wasn't in a friendly academic panel anymore. He wasn't on cable news. He wasn't on a podcast with people who agree with him. He was sitting across from Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana, and Kennedy had printed out every one of his social media posts.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Kennedy.
Secretary Wolf, thank you for your service. Why, in your opinion, do so many, not all, but so many of my Democratic colleagues believe in open borders?
Well, it's a good question. I think it's a couple of different fronts. One, it would be they don't believe in immigration law. They don't like enforcement. They don't like removing of individuals. And they believe that there are some that believe that anyone and everyone should be able to come to the U.S., whether they apply for protections under U.S. law or not. And then there's some probably that would like to see more voters in the U.S. as well.
Ms. Vaughn, some of my colleagues, for whom I have great respect, believe that the 10th Amendment allows local governments to ignore federal immigration law and implement sanctuary policy. The Supreme Court has ruled that racial quotas represent a pernicious form of racial discrimination. Can local governments ignore that ruling under the 10th Amendment?
Well, the 10th Amendment is about...
Just answer my question, please, ma'am.
The 10th Amendment is about commandeering, and so it's not really appropriate to this because...
Is the answer yes or no, ma'am?
Could you ask me again? Because I don't understand the relevance to... I'm sorry, I don't... Because ICE is not asking them
Secretary Wolf, you heard my question. Under the guise of the 10th Amendment, can local governments ignore a Supreme Court ruling?
I don't believe they can.
Okay. Women have the right to vote in America by statute and by constitutional interpretation. Under the guise of the 10th Amendment, can local governments just ignore that and prohibit women from voting?
No.
Okay. Mr. Duke, you worked for President Biden and Vice President Harris, didn't you?
Yes.
And I listened carefully to your testimony today. You expressed, well, you offered the opinion that the One Big Beautiful Bill is terrible in part because it will cause deficits. Is that right?
Yes.
Isn't it a fact that the profligacy of President Biden caused 9% inflation in America?
No.
Okay. Isn't it a fact that if President Biden had discovered life on Mars when he was president, he would have immediately sent it money?
I don't believe so.
Oh, you don't? Okay. Well, I appreciate your newly found fiscal conservatism. Mr. Bier, you seem to be a very smart guy, and you seem to be a nice enough guy.
Thank you, Senator. You seem smart as well.
Object.
Don't.
That was the chairman, not me.
Don't you think your hyperbolic statements undermine your credibility?
What hyperbolic statement did I make?
On February the 11th, 2026, you posted on Bluesky, quote, my words, or your words, not mine. The Democrats' video telling service members to ignore illegal orders didn't go far enough. They should have also urged them to refuse unethical orders, whether illegal or not. There are many things deemed legal that are still obviously unethical, and everyone should hold themselves to this higher law. End quote. Did I read that correctly?
I believe you did. Do you disagree with it? You think people should do unethical things in their capacity?
On December the 31st of 2025, you posted in front of God.
But wait. Do you disagree with what I said?
Let me finish my question.
I'm sorry.
Answer, sir.
Sure.
In front of God and country, you said, quote, they, referring to Republicans, think they can troll their way into us accepting ethnic cleansing. End quote. Your words, not mine. Did I read that correctly?
That was in regard to a Department of Homeland Security post about advocating 100 million deportations. That is what DHS has tweeted from their own account. 100 million deportations would be ethnic cleansing. You would be removing 1/3 of the country. So yes, there are people within the Department of Homeland Security.
And you don't think this is hyperbolic? Give me 30 more seconds.
I think advocating 100 million deportations is
I'm having fun here,
ethnic
Mr. Chairman.
cleansing.
On February 5th, you said the following on Bluesky.
Your time's up.
These are all good, but there's no enforcement mechanism. I'm sorry. Let me try a better one. On March 2nd, you said, quote, if you rule against Trump's population purge agenda, no hyperbole there, the nativists will name you, threaten you, and come after you. These judges are much braver than the ICE agents who hide behind masks while violating the Constitution.
They are much braver. They put their names on their rulings and they stand behind their constitutional rulings. When I talk about population purge, I'm talking about the fact that they're trying to deport U.S.-born citizens, people born here. They are trying to deport them as well. So it's not a mass deportation agenda. It is also an agenda intended to reduce the population of the United States, including U.S.-born people. So these are not hyperbolic statements. I appreciate you reading my account. I appreciate your research.
Here's the good news.
What planet did you just... Wait a minute, Mr. Chairman. What planet did you just parachute in from?
No. Hey, guys.
You trigger my gag reflex, Mr. Bier.
So we got a process here, and it's good to know you don't have an agenda. Senator King.
Mr. Chair, thanks for doing this. And Sheriff, welcome. I've got a Virginia.
All right, folks, let's talk about what you just witnessed. Because this wasn't a hearing. This was a public autopsy, performed in real time with a smile by a Louisiana lawyer who knew exactly what he was doing before he ever opened his mouth. John Kennedy didn't stumble into that committee room. He walked in with a folder. He walked in with receipts. And every single witness on that panel got exactly the treatment they earned. Start with the first question, and understand what Kennedy was really doing. Why do so many of my Democratic colleagues believe in open borders? Now, the media is going to tell you that's a loaded question. It's not. It's an honest one. And Chad Wolf, former acting Secretary of Homeland Security, a man who actually ran the border, gave an honest answer. They don't believe in immigration law, they don't like enforcement, they don't like removals, and some of them want more voters. That's not a conspiracy theory, folks. That's a description of the policies Democrats have enacted for the last 5 years. Open the border, release the migrants, fight deportation in court, hand out driver's licenses, register them to vote in local elections. That's the record. Wolf just said the quiet part out loud. Then watch what Kennedy does with the 10th Amendment. This is brilliant, and most viewers missed it. Sanctuary city advocates hide behind the 10th Amendment like it's a magic shield. The federal government can't make us enforce immigration law. Okay, Kennedy says, fine. Then answer me this. Can a local government use the 10th Amendment to bring back racial quotas after the Supreme Court struck them down? No. Can a local government use the 10th Amendment to take away women's right to vote? No. Of course not. So why does the 10th Amendment suddenly become a get-out-of-jail-free card the moment we're talking about illegal immigration? It doesn't, and Kennedy exposed that double standard in about 90 seconds. Now, let's talk about Mr. Duke, the former Biden-Harris staffer who came in clutching his pearls about the deficit. The deficit. Suddenly, Democrats care about the deficit. Kennedy didn't let that slide for 1 second. He asked the obvious question. Wasn't it the Biden administration's reckless spending that gave us 9% inflation? Wasn't it the Biden administration that would have funded a Mars colony if they found one? And, folks, this is the point you need to remember. The people who spent 4 years printing money, bailing out every progressive cause under the sun, and driving inflation to a 40-year high, those are the people lecturing us about fiscal responsibility now? Kennedy put it perfectly. Welcome to your newly found fiscal conservatism. Nobody's buying it. But the real fireworks, the part you're going to see clipped everywhere for the next 2 weeks, is the David Bier segment. And I want you to understand what Bier represents. He's an open borders ideologue dressed up in a suit and a think tank title. He writes for publications. He goes on TV. He uses polite, measured language when the cameras are rolling. But on social media, on his own personal accounts, he compares American immigration enforcement to ethnic cleansing. He calls mass deportation a population purge. He accuses ICE agents of violating the Constitution while hiding behind masks. That's not policy disagreement. That's not academic analysis. That is extremist language aimed at demonizing every American who believes the laws of this country should be enforced. And here's the genius of what Kennedy did. He didn't argue with Bier. He didn't debate him on the merits. He just read the man's own words back to him, on camera, under oath, in front of the United States Senate, and watch Bier squirm. Watch him try to explain that population purge really means something reasonable. Watch him try to reframe ethnic cleansing as measured commentary. You can't, because when you put those words on the internet, you own them forever. Kennedy just made sure the American people got to see them too. And when Kennedy finally said it, "What planet did you just parachute in from? You trigger my gag reflex, Mr. Bier." That wasn't a cheap shot. That was the honest reaction of a United States senator reading extremist rhetoric from a man who's been treated like a serious policy expert by the Washington establishment for years. Kennedy was saying what millions of Americans have been thinking every time they turn on the news. Enough. We're done pretending these people are reasonable. We're done pretending their ideas are mainstream. We're done pretending that calling deportation ethnic cleansing is acceptable discourse. Here's what I want every American watching this to understand. The open borders movement didn't win through public debate. They never put their real agenda on a ballot. They never said to the American people, "Hey, we want unlimited migration. We want sanctuary cities to override federal law. We want to call ICE agents war criminals." They couldn't sell that, so instead they hid it. Behind think tanks, behind academic language, behind media allies who sanitized their words. John Kennedy just ripped the mask off, and what was underneath it wasn't pretty. This is why these hearings matter. This is why you need to watch the full, unedited exchanges, not the 15-second clips the networks feed you. Because in the full exchange, you see who actually has the facts. You see who came prepared. You see who's representing the American people and who's representing a fringe ideology that most Americans reject. Chad Wolf came to testify about border security with data and experience. David Bier came with talking points and a social media history he hoped nobody would read. Kennedy made sure we all read it. Whether you're a Republican, a Democrat, or an independent, you have to ask yourself a simple question after watching this. Do you want a country where the laws are enforced? Or do you want a country where calling enforcement ethnic cleansing is considered reasonable policy analysis? There's no middle ground anymore. The open borders crowd has drawn the line themselves with their own words on their own social media accounts. And John Kennedy, in about 6 minutes, made sure every American got to see exactly where that line is. If you appreciate this kind of breakdown, the kind you're not going to get from the mainstream media, the kind that shows you the full story instead of the 15-second clip, hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Did Kennedy go too far, or did David Bier get exactly what he earned with his own words? Let me know. I read every single comment. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. I'll see you in the next one.